Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 10. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance will increase. This is also vanity. Proverbs 11 and 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachakadas Fukatam. Doing honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity. Pushing this truth with faith and sincerity, as well as risking Salakia, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat and the Yakim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say Shalom. Brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. And I came across this article maybe a day or two back off of RT. And it says Russia and China had sanctions busting plan to limit use of dollar. So basically, one of Esau Edom's tools or weapons to make the nation conform to basically his will is how he places sanctions on these different countries. Now, Russia and China are in somewhat of a partnership. When you go into what is it called, the BRICS nations, which you have a number of nations that actually were trying to bypass the dollar, because the dollar, the U.S. dollar, is the world reserve currency. When you go into that, that's why it's dubbed the petrodollar, because in order to buy large quantities of oil, which all countries need oil to operate, you have to transform your currency from whatever it is, from the Russian ruble to the Chinese yuan into the American dollar. And that's why it's considered the petrodollar. But you got these countries, and it's kind of like in the streets, like it's an old saying, you can't make money if you beefing in the streets, so it's kind of like that, when basically these nations move out of pocket with America, they throw sanctions on them. They did that with a number of countries. I think Venezuela was one, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of those countries that's actually it's not Venezuela. Yeah, it is Venezuela with Maduro. Yeah, with the President Maduro, that they tried to do the coup down there during Trump's presidency. That actually all they got swept up under the rug. You had those American soldiers that got caught down there, under Trump's presidency, and they caught them, and basically they was trying to stage a coup. You never heard anything else about that in quite some time. Trump been out of office for over a year. So, saying all that to say, this is the way they weaponize these sanctions to actually affect a country's economy, and like I said, it's just like how they're doing with to get people to comply with this whole new system being put in place. You starve out a company. Salakia. You starve out a person and his family and loved ones. You may. That's how you get obedience. That's why they're going after the food. I'm gonna tell you something. If you study history, you understand with sieges. Basically when an army would besiege a city, basically they stopped from that city from actually being able to get or import food. They did it in other cities, and they did it to Israel with the siege of Masada. You know, when you go into the siege of Masada, they got to the point they ate their kids, they ate the trees, the leaves off the trees, they ate they shoes, the leather of their shoes, and they ate they ate people. And these is people that had the truth. But when you read the scriptures, it tells you that the Most High God famines and famines is a tool that the Most High God uses. Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And cannibalism is nothing new. That's why it's depicted in movies, and it's depicted and spoken of in the scriptures. And it's coming back in a new way. You know what I mean? But not to digress. That's the spirit. The phone has to even chime in on it. It says, the remarks come in the face of increasing Western pressure. Amid a worsening standoff between East and West, Russia and China are increasingly contemplating using their own currencies and mutual settlements and finding ways to work together to counter sanctions, Moscow's envoy in Beijing has disclosed. Now, I think I was making mention of the BRICS nations. And when you go into the BRICS nations, I believe it's 5 different nations that basically try to come up with their own gold-backed currency to bypass the dollar because of, in order to run your nation and your country, you got to be able to import and export oil. And again, like I said, it's hard to do if you have to turn it into the U.S. dollar. And on top of the fact that the U.S. dollar is actually losing value. You know what I mean? That's why inflation is kicking in. If you know anything about economics, the reason why the dollar is costing more to buy stuff is because the dollar is weaker. So the BRICS nations, I believe, is the countries of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and I think South Africa, I want to say. I ain't went over that in a minute, but those 5 nations came together and basically tried to start their own currency. And most nations that do that literally get taken out. That's what happened with Gaddafi in Libya. This is what most of this stuff be about. Like when you go into what happened to JFK. You know what I mean? When you go all the way back to Abraham Lincoln, you know, you got people that got power to the point that they could touch presidents. Facts. Um, Speaking as a part of an appearance on YouTube channel Soul Aviv Live on Wednesday, Audrey Denisov weighed in the impact of embargoes imposed by Western nations on ties between the two nations. The fact that these sanctions have a negative impact on some aspects of our relations is indeed true, he said, pointing at the impact on financial settlements. If penalties are imposed on one of our banks, it is quite difficult for Chinese recipients of our products to pay us, although they have the money and desire to do so. And like I said, I want to say it was Venezuela they did that too. Venezuela has a huge oil reserve, as well as like a lot of natural resources. You get what I'm saying? Like, yet still look how poor they are. And that's because of this devil controls the way he set up the economies, and everything is up under a certain system, and it's checks and balances with certain things. They can impose sanctions on certain countries, and that it can affect your the country's actually ability to support itself. They try to do that with North Korea. The thing is, that's why they talk about North Korea does so much illegal shit. I don't know what North Korea doing. I know North Korea they're not really intimidated by America. And that's in the scriptures talk about how the weak shall say, that they are strong. America was the big bully because of the fact of the weaponry that they had. And now, you got other countries that have this same weaponry or similar weaponry. They say Russia and China, some of the weaponry they have exceeds America. So, again, like I said, I know something is about to happen pretty soon because due to the fact they just was talking about maybe like a couple weeks ago about how all these different nations agreed to not ever use any ICBMs or intercontinental ballistic missiles or any kind of nuclear bombs. Yet and still, you got this whole situation happening with Ukraine and Russia and America and NATO, which can begin. I mean, actually, like that's the beginning stages of World War III. You got shit going on with Iran and Israel, right now. So, I mean, anything. I mean, this could jump over at any time, unless the Most High Yahweh Shem Shah calms it down again. But I pray. I'm in the spirit. I hope He amps it up for real. The elder apostle Tahart dubbed this year the year of Yahweh Shem Shah turning up, and it's been nothing but something happening pretty much every day. Back into the article, it says the fact that these sanctions have a negative effect. Well, I read that part. According to the envoy, it is no coincidence that in recent years we have been talking more and more about the wider use of national currencies in the settlement of foreign trade transactions. So measures to counteract the pressure of sanctions that we can apply together, we certainly do. And by the way, we are discussing the issues with our Chinese partners. Denisovov said. The two countries have emphasized the importance of their relation in an array of spheres, including trade, energy, and defense in the face of strained relations with the West in recent months. However, a number of analysts have previously suggested that the meaningful ties between the two powers are limited in comparison to blocs like NATO. In December, President Vladimir Putin's foreign policy advisor, Yuri Ushakov, revealed that the Russian leader and his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, had vowed to develop shared financial structures to enable the two nations to deepen their economic ties without the interference of third countries. So basically, that's going into how these nations are going to come together and turn on the whore, the great whore that's mentioned in Revelation, which is basically America. This America is referred to as a whore because basically it has all these dealings with all these different nations. It's pushed its philosophies on all these different nations, So it's the whore that rides upon the beast. When you go into the beast in Revelations, that beast is NATO and the EU because it's a group of nations. When you go into Rome, ancient Rome, it was considered a beast, because basically everything like Rome conquered, I guess, most of the known world. That when Esau was in power, that power structure basically captured and conquered the whole world. When you go into the book of Daniel, chapter 2, it goes into all the statue and all the different nations. Like some things in the scriptures are literal and some things are allegory. So I don't know if I even want to finish this. It says the move appeared to be a response to a series of warnings from the West that Moscow could be cut off from the Brussels-based SWIFT international payment system as a punitive measure if Russian troops were to stage an invasion on Ukraine. And that's basically, America trying to control the situation financially, which finances can be used as the weapon. The thing is this, Putin and those Russian Edomites, because they all Edomites, it's just different, like you got Edomites in France. They're all Edomites. You got Edomites in America. They all Edomites, but it's different spirits on them. And Russia is the Edomite nation that is not about to back down to that. They don't give a fuck about the financial sanctions and any of that. So saying all that to say this, basically these moves that's being made is going to lead to the end of the dollar. At the time when they're trying to do this, American dollar is getting weak. It's weak right now, but it's going to get weaker. You're experiencing inflation. That's why you got TikTok videos showing, a roast of a slab of ribs being $200 in certain places. I'm hearing somebody I know speak on how they talking to people and in certain grocery stores literally is basically running out of food or don't have food. Or the stocks or shelves are empty. Why do you think these truckers are actually literally like, the truckers, do you understand it's a convoy of truckers that's literally not delivering shit, but literally just driving across the nation, fucking up the supply. So that's fucking up the supply chain. I mean, the way the Most High God doing this to Yahweh Shem Shah is your pie. Your pie is beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, in real talk. So, is this going to catch a lot of people off guard? And that's when, it talks about when sudden destruction, then your fear cometh, roughly paraphrased. That's when people are going to be afraid when they wake up and realize, oh shit, I can't get nothing to eat. Um, so again, this is gonna help lead to the downfall of this dollar. So this is the book of First Timothy, chapter 6. Well, matter of fact, I'm gonna go into Habakkuk chapter 2, because this is prophesied. It says, chapter 2, verse 2, and the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For this vision, meaning these prophecies, is for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. But they shall come to pass, and they allotted time they shall speak. They shall be known. They shall come to pass, and not lie, though it tarry. Meaning that it, it seemed like they coming, then they stopping. They coming and they stopping, because there's been multiple incidents that have happened that we thought maybe World War III. Like when they shut down the government and Trump had the government working for free, you know. But that was just to show his power for real. You had so many people begging. I remember, I'll never forget, you had that one nigga bitch, that old nigga bitch. She up there, please, President Trump, start the government, begging. Like, and these devils, Trump literally doesn't drink or smoke. He doesn't drink, if you know anything about Trump. So it was an old saying, when a man has had everything and, he can't be excited or stimulated by, money or women, then the only thing that can excite him is raw power. So, if at the end of the day, she doesn't even realize how much she excited him by begging him. Like one little nigga woman gonna make him change his Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Whose soul? This red Hebrew Edomite, this devil, who we call the so-called white man, Esau Edom, which is his biblical name. Yea, also because he transgressed by wines. And I was just going into his philosophies. And that's why this place is considered a whore, because it's pushed his philosophies around the world. In Taiwan, that's which was a province of China. I don't think they're no longer a province of China. I know they are ally of America because they legalized homosexuality there. I don't think China actually legalized it, because of the fact China is like I think you'll get in trouble for actually being a homosexual there. I think that you get judged for that. Because, like I said, literally, I think they just raised at one point in time, you was only allowed to have like 2 children in China. I think they just raised that now. I think you're allowed to have 3. He is a proud, said, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So, I mean, like, that goes into basically what I was just saying. He pushes his philosophies around the 4 corners of the earth. He wants everybody. That's why, if you study history, you'll find out that Rome and America are very similar. And when you understand life, that's why they say history repeats itself. It tells you in the book of Ecclesiastes is no new thing under the sun. So the same things that have been shall be again. Even the same spirits. That's why the elders talking to, they believe this person is this person and this person is that person. Certain leaders were ancient leaders back in the day. That's because if you understand spiritually, you'll understand that your body dies, but your spirit can never die. It's energy. It says in verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. Look at how he gained America. This was not his. He came here, told the world that he discovered it. How can you discover something if people was already here? That's just a little thing that people don't question. People don't think about. People don't, and that's a society. The type of people they want is a society of people that act like people today. Most people today are caught up in their phones. They not caught up. I mean, you got access to all this information that I'm speaking about, yet and still people are not caught up in that. They're not concerned about it. You know, they want a nation of people that's not concerned about things that matter and concerned about things that don't matter. About the Kanye Wests and Kim Kardashians and Rihanna's and all this just goofy shit. You know, what Bill Cosby was doing. You know, you got people that literally think Bill Cosby was innocent. Like, for real. Like, it says, verse 6, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And when you go into that word clay, it's debt. You know, it's debt. And this money system, this fiat currency, is a debt-based system. When you go into the economics that we use, our financial system is debt-based. That's why it's credit. And then when you go into how they trying to set up the system, when you go into China, China has a system in place right now that America is trying to emulate by creating a social credit system. So basically, you're not allowed to like partake in certain things in society if you are deemed negative by the government. So at the end of the day, you know, it talks about you know, not trusting in riches in multiple scriptures. You know, because as you can see, if China and Russia actually go through with like bypassing this dollar the way that you're trying to, and we're already in a state of inflation. And at the end of the day, I truly believe that it's all set up. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand, all these different nations and governments are all with switching over to a digital system. That's why they literally all are talking about cryptocurrencies. And it's actually ingenious when you take time to think about it, because if all nations are kind of tied to our dollar and our dollar bill is fucked up because it's inflating right now, you'll know it's going to be really bad when things hyperinflate. Hyperinflation, if things are expensive now, hyperinflation is basically every day that the shit going up more and more and more to the point you can't get it at all. So if all the nations are tied to our monetary system because of this petrodollar, that means all the nations are going to crash because of the petrodollar. You got to pay attention to economics. Look at how when America locked everything down, all the nations was affected by that. So that's why the scriptures talk about not to be in love with money. This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 6. I'm going to start at verse 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Verse 8, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Verse 9, but they that be rich fall into temptation and a snare, because most people that are rich want more riches. That's why it literally said in Habakkuk about, basically, I gotta go get it. It said how he's not satisfied. He enlargeth his desire as hell. You know, Esau Edom is a carnal man. That's why he gave up his spiritual birthright for literally something carnal or physical he could eat at the moment. You know what I mean? And that's the difference between Esau and Jacob. You know, now don't get me wrong. You got a lot of so-called Negroes and Latinos and Jakes and Israelites that's carnal men. You know, even men in the truth to a degree. And that's why we have this time to purge ourselves and get right. Because, like I said, we coming into times, unprecedented times. Put it like that. A day of Jacob's trouble is coming, and if you can't see that, you literally spiritually blinded. I mean, literally, when all hell break loose, Esau Edom has a track record of fucking up Jake. I mean, they've been doing fucking up Jake when shit was going all right. What do you think they're gonna do with shit going wrong. You got these stupid ass niggas talk about they got their white friends, they eat my friends. You got these stupid ass niggas that's living out there in these Edomite communities and whatnot. You ever seen that movie, The Purge, the first one? And them was Edomites. They was just jealous. What do you think it's gonna be like when they literally hate you deep down? You gotta understand these people teach their children to hate you. It say, but they that be rich fall into the temptation and the snare. For a rich man, it talks about in the scriptures how the rich man walked away sad because he had many riches, because he couldn't give up his physical riches. And he was keeping the law. He said, I fast, I give my alms and tithes. I fast a couple times out the week. He was doing all kind of spiritual stuff. But yet it's still he couldn't give up his earthly riches. And that's why the Most High, Yahweh Shah Hamashiach, our Lord and Savior, who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, made the statement. He said it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven than the camel to enter the eye of a needle. Now, if you know what an eye of a needle is, like if you got a needle and you sew, you know that eye and the needle is where you slip the thread through. But the eye of a needle was actually the gate to a city in the ancient days. You had that door, so that was the eye of the needle. And a camel is a stubborn creature, so therefore it wouldn't want to submit and bow down. It would have to stoop to crawl up under that into that doorway. And that's a nigga for you. A nigga is not gonna want to let off the things of this world. You're gonna have to let go of a lot of things here. Because again, we not even leaving our bodies. This place is so tainted, you ain't gonna be able to take these bodies. So a lot of the things you're not taking certain mentalities. You're not taking a lot of different things, a lot of possessions, let alone, you know, uh, you know, you're gonna have to give up a lot on this side. It says, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. Meaning destruction, perdition. I wonder what they're gonna say for the word perdition right here. Got to go into the words. I finally understood why it's so important to go into the words. Because when you go into the words, you have a better understanding of actually understanding of it. And that's why, you know, my elders and my apostles aren't like certified teachers. They didn't go to Esau Edom school to learn to get a certificate or a degree to teach. Yet still, they are the greatest teachers I've ever come across. With a lot of Esau Edom's knowledge he's given me, I can't retain or recall. With this, the way that the elders broke down the scriptures and the way that they teach and tell you how to learn and to study is beneficial. So when you go into that word, the perdition,
Strong's G 684, Apoleia.
It says destroying, utter destruction. A, of vessel. A, perishing, ruin, destruction. A, of money. The destruction which consists of eternal misery and hell. But like I say again, and that's what the elders are talking about, how the blue letter's starting to go off because they changing certain stuff in it. Like I remember you can find certain information in the blue letter, and just recently you can no longer find that like that. Like when you go into hell, like they making it seem like everlasting fire. But it tells you in the scriptures that the Most High God is not cruel to the point where he'll have you burning up forever. Those that's basically judgment is to be basically encompassed in them ICBMs and that hellfire. that burning sensation will feel like an eternity, but it won't be an eternity. When you go into the word hell, it goes back to Sheol, meaning the grave. Verse 10, for the love of money is the root of all evil, while some covet after they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. So it tells you not to love money. Money is a defense. That's in the scriptures. You can use money to do a lot of good things, to provide and take care of your family, but money is not going to save you. And you got some people that love money more than they love the Most High God, more than they love people, more than they love their children. You got people that literally leave their kids no inheritance. And I understand that to a degree, but at the end of the day, that's not scriptural. In the scriptures, the firstborn usually got the inheritance. Children were given and left an inheritance for a wealthy person to not want to leave. And I can understand again that you got people like usually like the Game of Thrones shows you one particular truth about life. You had the king that was actually a king, and then literally his heirs or his lineage that comes behind him usually doesn't live up to what he was because they are pampered. It's a saying that the elder brought out. He said, hard times make strong men, good times make weak men. And we coming into hard times. I'm skip to verse 17. Charge them that are rich in this world that they may Salakia. Charge them that are rich in this world that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living power who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. And the point is, uncertain riches. But the uncertain riches is these riches that's literally these riches that's literally that's because like I said, with these sanctions, this is going to affect this US dollar. Well, as far as not the sanctions, but with Russia and China basically trying to go around, the sanctions and not dealing with the dollar is going to affect this dollar. So they're uncertain riches. Also, due to the fact that they literally switching everything over to cryptocurrencies. So, in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, they talk about curse be the man that trusteth in man. Trust, because this paper money, this fiat currency, this US dollar is a device of Esau Edom of man. Gold is something that comes from the earth. Gold is something that's actually holds true value because you could do more with gold than a piece of paper. They use gold and electronics and all kinds of shit. Gold actually filters the water. Gold does a multitude of things. So we coming into some exciting times. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call loyal, like Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rachak, double honors to the apostles and to the elders, the great millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four quarters of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Aqua, to the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this was edified. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Until next time, I'm able to come with another lesson. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.